Hi everyone, welcome to my Shoreline Studio. I'm Sybille Muschik. Behind the camera, as usual, is Joshua Blanc. Today we're continuing on with our geometric series, and it's the triangle. I was going to add something to that, but we won't. Okay, now triangles are, well, they're very geometric, hard edge, and you know, I'm a curvilinear type of person, and so this is going to be a bit of a challenge for me. It's a warm-up exercise, as usual with these. So we're just going to start, and I'm going to start with a charcoal drawing. And we're just going to start putting them on, no rhyme, no reason. I might be considering composition a little bit, but maybe not a whole lot. We may have to erase some stuff or blur it. We'll just see how it goes. So starting, now I don't like to start in the center, that's always a problem. So we'll start off to the side and with one triangle. And maybe we'll do another triangle a little bit longer here. And we don't necessarily want a circle, so. And we'll just start adding triangles. Eventually it starts looking like something. Now, angular pieces like this always create movement, so this can become quite dynamic. Okay, and do we need to turn the paper? Yes, we do. Okay, let's see about our triangles here. Maybe we'll put one here. And continuing on this sort of strange trend. I'm using charcoal because it will transfer just like graphite. Little triangles here. And so on. Whoops. It's like listening to chalk scrapings. Josh is chuckling over there. His ears must be just vibrating. Okay. We'll try and be quieter here. And you can, continue until you have filled up the whole page. And you can add other things like triangles within triangles. Just make it interesting. Be aware of your composition a little bit, but don't, get too wrapped up in it. Now on the internet there are, pages where there's lots of stuff about triangles if you need some inspiration. And some of you I know are into Zentangling, so this lends itself very well to that kind of format. So you could add all sorts of things to it. I sort of had planned to combine, we did circles at the last video, and I was going to combine circles with this, but I kind of like the aesthetic of triangles all by themselves, so we're just going to stay with that for now. Doesn't seem to squeak if I press harder. Or you'll think there's mice running around down here. So now think about balancing. Have a look at it in several different ways. I think we need to balance this area a bit. Maybe some more. With a little triangle on the inside. So repetition is good. Maybe a bit of a theme if you like. This is sort of like a starburst idea. It wasn't squeaking last night when I was doing this. Not fair. Oh. Okay. And maybe another one. Just really nice long one. If you don't like any of them, you know, you could probably erase it back so it doesn't print. But so far I'm not unhappy. Just continue on here. You'll probably think of all sorts of other configurations. Make it your own. And I think that'll do for now. You know, we could add all sorts of other little ones, big ones, whatever, but time is short, so we'll just get our plate out. As usual, this is an 8 by 10 piece of tracing paper, and my charcoal pencil is USA General's. They seem to make all sorts of graphite and charcoal pencils, and it's a 2B medium. And here is our gel plate. So place your graphite, or not graphite, my charcoal drawing on top of the plate here. Push down. Use a brayer or your hand or a baren like I'm doing, and it will transfer. And if you recall, you always need a medium to get that off the plate. Whoops. Just watch some of my other videos on transfers, and you'll see, you know, how I go about this. Now let's put this in a safe place, and I'll use the matte medium to transfer. Not too much. It's just like a regular transfer, you know, from a photocopy. You have to see the image. Not a problem in this case. It's quite graphic. Rolling it off. Now remember to clean your brayer as you go, just with a baby wipe. Medium is really a glue. Okay. Now this is the Oriental paper with the smooth side. And we're going to put it on there, and then we're going to register it. Okay, we're ready for the big reveal here. And so as you can see, charcoal transfers really well. Okay, that kind of lifted on me, so hopefully it's not going to be off, but that's okay. If it's off register, it might create a shadow effect, which is also very interesting. Bit of a blur here, I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, so our next step is to add Createx mediums. So we're going to be using our golden, the fluid acrylics, and I think this is a high flow. So some interesting colors. What's this one? Quinacridone magenta, burnt sienna, and this is phthalo blue. So intense colors, but we're still on this business with muted colors, maybe things that are a little bit more subtle for the background at any rate. The starburst triangles are going to probably be a little bit more intense, just so they'll stand out. But first the background. So again, our Create Text color medium, and you just need a drop. I'm preparing the surface. Just so our colors will not bead up on the plate. I've got an air bubble underneath there. You can hear that. Okay. Make sure all your bubbles are behaving. So we're going to add just a little bit. And often I add a bit of satin glazing liquid to these, just to take down the intensity, because they are extremely bright. But they look like glass when they're printed, so it's really quite lovely. Okay, let's do this. With the blue and the burnt sienna, we're going to get some grade tones, which will be quite nice. You see how it goes? That Create Text medium stops the beading completely. And you can even see the transparency happening. I'm just spraying off as much as possible. That's going to be quite intense. Now I did some experiments with using only medium on the plate and then adding the high flow, etc. on here. And there was an awful lot of beading, and in one case it created a very interesting piece, which I will show at the end of the video. What happened is the ink, because basically it's an ink, went all around the triangle shapes and printed, and that was quite amazing. Okay, hopefully we're not too far off register, but in this case we're not working with the images yet, so we should be okay. Now we should have a really nice glowing background. And as far as colors go, it you can see, no, I don't know what happened there. No, something didn't print, whatever. It's okay, but you can see, well, you can see some of it. I can't take it off the register. Maybe if I held it up like that, you can see. Okay. So next step is we have all our nice charcoal drawing part, so we don't want to obscure that too much. We're going to add, I was thinking the posca pens, so, but I'm wondering now if I shouldn't just use paint. So I always change my mind midstream. But that's okay, that's all, it's a creative process, right? You have to go, the painting itself or work dictates pretty well what it wants it to happen. So, and I think I kind of like to keep the transparency and not obscure the lines too much. And the best way to do that is with these paints. So again, we're going to have to add some Create Text because I'm sure we took most of it off. So just a little dabble, do you? And put it on. And it's okay if that part dries. And while I'm getting this ready, Josh will put a nice little interlude in, and we'll set that up. So now we're at the painting stage. I have put a layer of the Createx medium on here and let it dry. I also have Createx medium in the paint. I think we mentioned everything except for the pyrrole orange. We'll use those as little triangles in the center. And then I'm just going to, you know, do a variety of colors. And I think we're just going to start painting. So we'll probably flip through this really fast because it takes time to do, and you know, you're doing pretty well the same stuff the whole time. So music maestro. So we're finishing off with our orange. As I said, I've added the Createx medium and a little bit of the satin glazing liquid. So we just add that final touch. And then you have to let it dry, of course, right? So I'm trying to keep this as pure as possible because there is some burnt sienna on the outside edge. That's just to give it a little bit more shape. Some of it will mix, that's fine. Otherwise you have something really gaudy, so introduce the burnt sienna to just tone it down a bit. The fluid medium or fluid acrylics are quite fast drying. Very much like the alcohol inks in a way. Now you could probably actually use them with a Acrylics medium to paint on glass. So if you know, Christmas is coming up for you, which it is in our case, you might want to, you know, buy some of those clear glass bulbs. And these kind of shapes would be really nice on a round glass bulb. Or, you know, transparent coasters. Be a nice gift. So have we got it all? So we'll just have another little interlude here, let it dry, and then we do a release coat, print it on here, and we'll probably lose that little white spot. Okay, we're ready for our release coat. As usual, keep your fingers crossed that everything is going to come up, but we have that little trick with the medium, remember? And I'm putting silver on. And we're going to use a little bit of a matte medium. And we might have to wait a little bit for it to release. This is what I've found. I know some of the gel plate printing enthusiasts have been recommending you leave it overnight sometimes to get everything, and that's absolutely correct. I always was thinking, okay, it's like glue, the whole paper is going to stick like crazy, but that's not what happens. It will come off, especially this oriental paper. So we'll see what happens here, and we might have to use more medium. I use the Amsterdam silver. That's all it says, is silver. And we'll take a peek, and we might just... So far, so good. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do a little bit more medium. But it's coming off pretty good. Remember, this paint is like glass, so glass paint. And it just has that quality. And to get it all up, it takes time, and you just have to keep working at it. And then this piece will have a nice shimmer because of the silver. So because it's our last layer, we can take the registration off. It's all right, we'll be cropping this image anyway. Oh, it came back pretty good on this side. And just a little bit more medium on here. Just a touch. I think we're just going to wait for a few minutes, maybe a short little interlude to finish off. Okay, well, we have been working with this, and I think I had maybe not quite enough Acrylics on this side, as this side was really good. And you can fix it up with Posca pens, it's not a problem. Anyway, we're gonna go for it. It got most of it. And it's slightly off register. Remember, our plate slipped a bit, but I think that makes it interesting. So, and we're just going to take it completely off. and we will show it. So fun stuff, warm-up exercise, as I said. Don't fret too much over it. Now, if you don't have Createx medium, you can try Dawn dishwashing liquid or some other dishwashing liquid. Maybe Sunlight would work pretty good. And just polish that on the surface, and I think that stops beading as well. So we're continuing on with our triangles, and in this case, I'm going to add a little bit of shadow first to the edge of my drawing, and just to give it more three-dimensionality this time. And just stroke it on there. And try not to make too much of the scrapey stuff here. And there, that works good. So I'll just thicken one side as if there's light or, light and shadow on it. Okay, so we're going to leave that for now, because one of the last ways of working with our fluid acrylics is to actually mix them with something like Amsterdam paints, with a regular acrylic paint on our 8x10 gel plate, of course. And we're just going to use some violet, and we're going to punch it up with the fluid acrylic. And we'll do a two-tone job. And to be totally fail-safe, add some medium to it. This is the satin glazing liquid. Okay. And then just add your fluid acrylic to that. And then you don't have this problem with beading. Just going to roll it out. And you can see the transparency. This is a joy of the fluid and the high flow acrylics, is you're getting a feature of transparency that you just don't get with any other paints. So it has that glass-like look to it. And we're going to do a base layer first before we do the transfer. Now let's see, maybe a nice orange. And we'll just have this one first. So put your regular acrylics, the Amsterdam acrylics, on first. A little bit of medium. That's a bit much. Anyway. We can brayer it off. I'm brayering off on the side here. It's almost a discord color. At some future date, we'll talk about discords because they're exciting and sort of the last thing you learn in color theory. The artists use a lot of discords, and that's what makes the colors pop. And coming up, maybe within the month, hopefully, we're going to be doing marbling. I know lots of people have asked me to do it. So as usual, the marbling is my style. Sort of Grilla style, yes. It's not your Ebrew style of marbling, but it will be fun, and I will take you through the whole process. So that's coming up maybe in about 3 weeks. So, okay, on with our plate here, making sure it's really nice. Now at this point, if you want to add some texture to it, because our little design, you know, is quite graphic, we could just make a few little marks, maybe just squiggles and things, and just make it interesting. And I'm just going to brayer over that again. I just want that sitting in the background so it doesn't interfere with the design. So just another tricky thing to do for backgrounds. Okay, so let's print that. Again, we're using our Oriental paper. I think this is a 12 by 10 something sheet. And I think we have 2 here. Okay, right. And this time I'll register it. Josh will have to fiddle with his sound system. I see it grinning over there. Gnashing his teeth more likely. Anyway. Okay, let's make sure all those edges are nice and neat. And let's take that off. And we do have a really nice background. Okay, good to go. Yes, now I would clean the plate in this case. I'm not sure how the, remember we're working with charcoal, will take on here. So I have my drawing now, charcoal drawing, and we're going to just figure out how to place this. Don't forget that it's going to look in reverse, so maybe I'll do it this way. I want the long pieces going that way. Yeah, maybe at an angle. There we go. And let's hope we get those nice shadows. And you need a release coat too for the charcoal to transfer. So because it's dry media already, all you need to do is either the satin glazing liquid, but let's use the matte medium instead. I think it just works a little bit better. But they're both good, so if you don't have one, you can use the other. And like any transfer, not too much of your release coat. I mean, you could do it in color, but it takes down the, you know, that glass-like look that you're trying to achieve with this exercise. If you're seeing it bead up on here, there's sort of these little ridges, and that might be too much medium. Okay. Oh yes, too much medium. Okay. It's just a fine line, so that's helps you to see. Okay, try that again. And I think I'm just going to wait for it to adhere a little bit, since it is a release coat, and sometimes these things just take a little bit of time. So Josh will put an interlude in and we'll get right back. So we've waited an extra 5 minutes. You can sort of tell when it's ready because it's a bit sticky coming up. And of course the charcoal is only a reference for other media because it's not going to be terribly strong. But it actually came out pretty good. So, and we're just going to pump up the shadows with my handy Posca pen. And you can print that directly, I think so. Now we'll see if it prints directly. If not, because it's still wet, we'll just put another layer of the medium on. It might, and then it might not. This is all these experiments that you run to see what works and what doesn't. And then be sure and take notes, because that's really important, otherwise you'll forget. Well, some of it showed up, so we're just going to put a release coat on as well for that, and we'll just use our medium. Oh, we're getting some interesting effects here. Ooh, okay. You have to wait for the Posca pen to dry, but so we have some bleeding, but I think it's kind of interesting. You have these happy little accidents. And again, this layer will have to dry. If you use the medium, it's not going to come up directly. So we'll be back in a flash. So we're just going to hazard a pull here, and hopefully it will turn out. And I think it's pretty good. We didn't wait for it to dry as long as we should have, probably. And we have that smudgy effect, which I think is kind of neat, actually. So let's put this one aside, and we'll take a quick print of the other one. We're just going to do a release coat. Just an interesting color. Now it might smudge even more at this stage. You know, at your leisure at home, you can wait for all these things to dry. We're working fast and furiously. We don't have a lot of time. And most cases things work, and sometimes they don't. Okay. And this is just the ghost print. I just smooth it down with my hand first, just to check for air bubbles and things, and then do my edges. And hopefully this will release everything underneath for our ghost print. And often the ghost print is prettier than the main print, and that's the case in this today. Really interesting stuff on there. So now you're never going to get that painting. And now you can work with it some more. Colored pencil, you know, this will take watercolor really well. This is the Oriental paper. It, you know, takes water media really well. So there you have it, our explorations with the high flow and the medium, the fluid acrylics with, I guess we used quinacridone magenta, and I think some blue earlier. I think it's phthalo blue. I can't read the label anymore. It's come off. But anyway, so that's it for today. And thanks so much for watching. It's been a lot of fun and exciting. My heart's pounding when it's we're getting problems. But anyway, try these experiments and have fun with these fluid acrylics because they are worthwhile. You know, they give you maybe more muted tones if you're mixing them with the other media, and it's all to the good. So take care of your families, be well, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.